Ustream. That's that thing we use.
Okay, so I just hit on Ustream.
Can you bring up the live briefly here, just so I can see what we're looking like, so I can get a gauge of my feelings. All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the behind-the-scenes video version of the Computer Action Show.
Is that what this is?
That is, well, I don't call it the main version of the show because we don't quite have the look where we want it yet.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. I am not prepared. So,
right.
Good on you for showing up to watch this.
When you watch the video version, you get to see how the sausage is made. Hey, it looks good, though. You know what's funny is the stream's going to come out looking better than the recorded version will.
That often happens.
So,
yeah.
What can you do?
You
All
can't
right.
do much.
We are ready to kick this sucker off, I think.
Wow, this is our third episode?
Fourth.
Holy moly.
I know, dude.
This is our fourth episode.
It flies, right?
Holy moly. Well, I'm ready to go when you guys are.
Born ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2.
And welcome to Season 1, Episode Quattro of the Linux Computer Action Show. I don't know.
Brian owes us a beer.
Do I owe you a beer for that
Brian
one?
had the first slip up.
I'm amazed I didn't do that in the first 3 episodes.
All right, continue on. So you had a roll going.
What was I talking
You
about?
were about to introduce me, which
My
is the
name is
important part.
Brian. I think that's where... And, of course, I'm with Chris.
Hey, Brian. Today in computer history, September 24th, 1986, computer maker Honeywell seeks a partner, and this, Brian, was a pivotal moment in the computer industry. It was seen by analysts as the moment when they could clearly put their finger on when all these disparate, or whatever you want, what would you say, Brian? All these
Disparate is a good word.
All these different manufacturers of PC hardware were going to begin to consolidate, and so on September 24th, 1986, Honeywell began speaking with a small little company known as NEC.
Little guy.
And then France's Group Bell to buy off their PC manufacturing assets. Honeywell had experienced a 37% drop in revenue earnings in 1986.
Oof.
And this was really kind of what the industry analysts look back now and say, this really kind of marks the moment where we started trending towards bigger top 4 players in the PC industry.
Yeah, it really did.
It's an interesting time to think back when everybody was making a computer.
Everybody was.
It's like today, it seems like everybody makes a cell phone. Like you've got all these different companies that manufacture cell phones. I mean, it just seems like you've got Samsung, you've got Motorola, all these Panasonic, all these different companies that are normally you think of as other electronics are now in cell phone. And then we're starting to see, thanks to some of the new smartphones, consolidation. So we're definitely seeing bigger market leaders.
I kind of miss those old days. I mean, I know I was just a teeny tot when we were in the early 80s.
Sure.
But I miss the old days when we had we didn't have it much here, but across the pond in our friends from London town or whatever, they had the BBC Micro. Over here we had the Atari systems and we had, the Amigas and everything else. There was you go into a computer shop, and it wasn't just a PC Mac war. It was 30 different possible things, different hardware architectures. It was phenomenal, and it was so much fun to get to play with all that stuff. Yeah, I love those times.
And it's, for that, you still have the custom building, which I always go back and forth on custom building a PC. Do I want to go through that? And part of me, goes through this process where I say, all right, to really get the system I really want, I got to build. Then every time I build,
it goes wrong.
It's just it's always something that I'm spending,
wrong.
Swapping motherboards and going to Fry's and getting screwed on my return. And, it's I should have just, but then it's the cost and, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of where I sit. I end up going to the small mom and pop shops to build it for me because I'm just too damn lazy.
Yeah, I think that's the route I'm going to go. This last week was the Intel Developers Conference.
Oh yeah.
And they, announced a bunch of new stuff. ATI was there and they announced a bunch of new stuff. And I don't know if you saw this on Engadgets where I spotted it, but it was awful. Also all over Gizmodo. Alienware is coming out with this new crazy high-end PC. And for Alienware, the price for a fairly well-equipped machine is around $2,000, which is expensive, but for an Alienware machine, that's not crazy.
You're buying
expensive.
good quality.
And it has automated fin systems that slide up for cooling, and it has the hard drives mount vertically from the top, so you just slide in drives from the top.
Fins.
Like
That's
a
just
toaster.
ridiculous.
And it's got all these crazy cooling zones now where There's all this different stuff, kind of like the old. Remember how Apple?
I do
came
like
out
the
with
idea of treating your drives like they're Pop-Tarts.
Remember when Apple came out with the G5?
That really, like,
and
that speaks to me.
And they were like, we have cooling zones, and we've even put an acrylic thing in there to make sure the air goes all these different places. And then when they dropped the PowerPC chip and they went with the Intels and they weren't so crazy hot, they kind of dropped some of that airflow stuff.
Yeah, they really
Alienware
did.
is kind of bringing that back a little bit, and
They're
it
bringing
looks
it back.
really sweet.
Is Alienware going to have commercials with big tanks and pretend like their machines are actually military-grade weapons so they can't ship them to other countries?
Maybe. That was very retro callback of you.
That would be super awesome and pretentious of Alienware to do that.
Did you also see they came out with, it's a pretty thick, fatty laptop, but it's a quad i7 laptop chip, and it's got 2 video cards in it, 2 high-end NVIDIA cards
Yeah.
in SLI inside this laptop, dual hard drives, 18.5-inch screen or something like that. Just a massive rig.
Why? I mean, I get it.
LAN parties,
I
I
love
guess.
it. You know what? I love pushing the envelope. I love going crazy, but there's just a point when I have to cock my head and go, oh, really?
I know. I can't.
Why?
Well, if I was going to, I would never make my main gaming rig a laptop. It's just, they just get out.
I did. I mean, you. I
We've
did
both
that
tried
for a
it, but
while.
the problem is you
but
can't change
yeah.
out the graphics. You get stuck with that GPU at
Well,
that time.
we've both gone this direction. I had my main rig, my development machine, my gaming,
Yeah.
everything was on my laptop.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was spending like twice as much money as I needed to.
Right.
I was mostly just sitting in one spot and letting
Yeah.
my butt grow wider anyway.
Right.
I might as well just pay half the price, get twice as powerful a machine, and then buy a netbook that I can bring with me
And that's
to
kinda-
the bathroom where I can sit on the toilet and do what I need to do.
And that's kind of the thing, because
That is kind of the thing.
you end up with a heavy laptop like that to be high-end. You
You are not on the toilet with that heavy laptop.
No,
It's not
you gotta leave
comfortable.
it won't run.
It's dangerous.
As long as you take on the toilet,
It's-
your battery's not going to last.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you need a good 6-hour battery.
Seriously. Well, here's the other big thing. When you have one of those big Herkin laptops, they get
Yeah.
extra hot on the bottom, and they usually have lots
Yeah.
of fans on
and
the
that,
bottom.
your leg hair.
Well, no, exactly. You
Yep.
put it on your lap.
Yep.
The leg hair either gets sucked into
Yep.
it,
Yep.
and then that hurts.
Or you're worried about that happening constantly.
Or,
So you can't rest while you're on the pot.
or it blows down.
Okay. You don't want that?
Not painful, but really
Oh, it gets hot?
awkward between you and the laptop.
Gotcha.
I don't care
That
for
is a weird moment with the laptop.
It's a horrible
I'm
moment.
with you on that, buddy.
Netbooks, not so bad. You can put them on just one leg.
I don't know, that Triple E got really hot on me. I was really surprised the other day. Not on the pot, but I'm just saying. You know what does get hot is I have a MacBook Pro through work,
Yeah.
and that sucker gets really hot. It's
Yeah.
The
My wife's got one, and that thing just gets
it's the aluminum.
toasty hot.
It's the aluminum just like that is a heat conductor.
Oh, wait,
and it
you're
just,
saying Apple made a bad hardware decision?
Well, I like the look and the physical sturdiness of it, but as far as
But
transferring
the
heat-
functionality of it is just no good, right? I hear what you're saying.
well, it does kind of make me wish they had a plastic version, because I would be curious to see if, of course, then you wonder if the machine would run hotter.
You know what the crazy thing is?
So I don't know.
You remember those clamshell iBooks?
Yeah,
Those-
yeah.
They had like handles on them that Apple came out with. Those were
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
They got like barely warm
Well,
on the
that
bottom.
was the G3
Phenomenal.
chip.
Yeah.
That G3 chip was crazy cool.
Oh, those were
They didn't
cool.
even have to have an active fan on it.
I had a couple of those. I was running old PowerPC Linux
Yeah, like
on those.
they were like 233
Oh, those were
megahertz around
great.
there.
Yeah,
You can think they got as high
great,
as 300.
Great little rigs.
Yeah, I had a couple of those because I worked at a school district at the time.
And this all relates back to 1986 and Honeywell.
Right.
Right.
So I thought we'd touch on the popcorn hour giveaway that we had at the end of last episode of the Computer Action Show.
Yeah, so we have not got a winner. We announced who it was, and that person never got in touch with us.
No, and we thought that, when you give one person a call, it takes, there's a risk there. And this kind of like the podcast, the way generally I think it works with most podcasts, kind of what I picked up talking to other shows and just kind of watching the trends, is it takes about 30 days to for someone to sort of, for the most of the audience to get the whole show.
To get caught up, yeah.
So what we were thinking is we're going to leave it open until Friday of next week. So I think it was like D. Williams 2020 or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, something.
He still has a chance. But what we want to do is, in case he doesn't claim it, we really want to get this thing out by next Friday.
Yep.
So we've kind of devised a system to make sure we get current people in the running. And then what we're thinking is, because it does take about generally 30 days for everyone to get the whole show.
Yep.
the people that are really involved, that really are active and really want to get the show, that download it on release day, are going to have a heads up. Or they're going to have a head start. Early bird
Big
gets
time.
the worm in this case, Brian. But
Early bird.
But everybody, there's going to be a week, and then of course, if you end up missing out, we do have a Kodak ZI8 giveaway coming out.
Coming up soon.
But here's the way to enter the drawing, and this has kind of been devised to make it a shorter list, figuring we're going to get just specific active people. So
It's just going to be the people who are proactive and hardcore.
So the first step is to make sure you've fanned us over on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. And the reason you want to do that is because on our fan page, we have a discussions tab. And if you go into that discussions tab, there is a thread in there about the Popcorn Hour giveaway. And if you add your comment to that thread, paste in the URL to your YouTube user profile.
Yeah, so just log into YouTube, go into your user account, and
Just
copy
get
and
the
paste
URL.
that profile.
Yep.
Just right-click on
And
your
then
name and
what,
copy that.
What we'll do is on Friday, we'll release a video announcing the winner. And so on Thursday evening late, I'm going to go into Facebook in that discussion thread and verify that everyone that comments in there is subscribed
And
to
we'll
our
just
YouTube
pick
channel.
one random name,
Yep.
and boom.
Throw them in the list,
they
and
win.
then that person's the winner. And I think maybe that's how we'll do the future giveaways too. So you're not missing out by adding us as a fan or adding yourself as a fan to our Facebook.com/Jupiter
plus it
Broadcasting.
rewards you guys who've been so awesome and so on top of things and been the most hardcore.
I think
of
what I
the
want to
Jupiter
do is
Broadcasting
start
guys.
getting into more giveaways because as I've gotten cool stuff across my desk, I want to get more stuff out there to people because, like, the perfect example is that Kodak ZI8 will be giving away when we hit 6,000 YouTube subscribers. That is a great little HD cam that you guys eventually I want to start incorporating in maybe video listener feedback.
That would be
And so it's a great. We might give a couple of those away. I'm thinking. So we'll see. But yeah. So add yourselves to our fan page at facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. Then paste your URL to your YouTube profile in that discussion thread from our Facebook page, and then you will be in a very short list. I mean, the chances of you winning are very good. So it's worth doing.
quite a bit better than 1 in 3,500 or whatever it was. Yeah.
All right, Brian. Before we move on, I want to say holla at the boys over at GoDaddy.com.
You are talking crazy talk right now because as far as I can tell, at GoDaddy.com, you can get domain hosting. You can get domains starting at just $3.99
a month,
per
Brian.
month.
Yeah.
And that's Linux shared hosting with 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to GoDaddy hosting connection.
which is awesome.
Which is where you can install tons of applications.
Over
like one,
30. I don't know why they say
one-click install.
There's way more than 30, so they ought to.
There are
update
way
that.
more than 30. You know what? Maybe this is old. Maybe when they
Yeah.
started
I
this,
think
maybe
they
they
need
had
to
30.
replace
Now
that
they've
30
got
with a
like
billion.
a trillion.
Oh.
More than you can possibly count,
Right.
depending on what state you are from. And it's just awesome. So like you want WordPress? Boom, one-click WordPress. Plus,
Word.
as a listener of the Linux Action,
Or the computer action
the
show.
computer. I apparently have retro on the brain today, gentlemen.
That's cool.
The computer action
That's 2
show.
beers, but it's cool.
You can enter code Linux LINUX and save an additional 10% on your order when you check out.
Boom.
Boom.
Some
Right
restrictions
there.
apply. See the site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com.
That's so true, Chris.
Thank you, GoDaddy, for sponsoring the Computer Action Show. All right, Brian. Let's do the news.
Okay.
All right. You good with that? You good with the news? All right, so make sure it's doing the thing where it's not stacking it.
And we're out. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
All right, good show.
Good show,
We're
everybody.
out of here. We're out of here.
So I'm just going to play Scribble Knots now.
Oh, Brian.
Do, 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 do.
What's that? Huh? You're what?
All right.
I
so
know,
what
and I
if
don't have the ability to add you as one right now.
Well, somebody was complaining that the topic, apparently, when you join, is terribly out of date.
Yeah, I'll fix it later. I'm going to do a podcast right now, but then after I'm done doing the podcast, I'm going to update that.
You know, these people are involved with
No, they're right. It's way out of date. No, they're absolutely right. I will get that fixed. Ba 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 ba.
you might even call them fans, I guess.
I'll log in if somebody wants to. Hey, Jeremy, you do me a favor. If somebody in the chat room wants to volunteer to be an operator, maybe we can get a couple extra operators too, so that way, when we're in the future, when we're in this spot, we're not stuck. So if somebody wants to shout out in the chat room, Jeremy will take your name down, and then I'll add you as an op next time I see you online at the same time that I am. All right, so
So here's the thing, and Scribblenauts. This is crazy. Scribblenauts for the Nintendo DS. I'm trying to do a thing where I beat every level of Scribblenauts using just a dinosaur.
Sure, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Because you can call up a dinosaur and then a shotgun. So I grab a shotgun, I call up a dinosaur,
so
and
far.
then I just see what I can do. There are levels like go find some flowers for this pretty girl. Okay, dinosaur, shotgun, and let's just see how this plays out. I haven't been terribly successful yet, but I have called upon dinosaurs and shotguns a lot, so I
Sure.
feel like it's a win overall.
Nice.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Nice. Well, thanks, Brian.
That is not in the audio show, just in the video show for you lucky folks who wanted to know about my dinosaur shotgun video gaming.
All right, Jeremy, we're ready when you are, sir.
I'm ready when you are, sir.
Brian, you ready?
I'm totally ready.
Let's do this S.
Okay, the S is doing.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, Brian, our top story on the news docket for this
Hey,
week.
Chris.
Yeah.
On the computer action show.
Right, you got it, buddy.
Thanks.
The top story is Apple releases Grand Central Dispatch under an open source license.
Oh, that's actually very cool.
It is very cool of them, and a
Did
very.
they say what the license was?
It's under the Apache license,
Oh, that's great.
version 2.
I like it.
And so this is specifically the userland code because the kernel level code is already covered under the
Yeah, that's in the Darwin, stuff.
the
Yeah,
Darwin, which
the
I
Apple public license. or
yeah,
something.
that's what
yeah.
it is. And so this is an interesting turn of events, honestly, because I actually didn't really expect Apple to do this in any way. Because as far as I was determined, it seemed Grand Central Dispatch was a unique competitive advantage to Mac OS X.
Right.
And now, because it's under the Apache license, I don't believe that's very likely you're ever going to see Microsoft incorporate Grand Central Dispatch. Plus, they already have some level of functionality like this in the NT Executive, right?
Right.
So-
They're doing their own thing over there, but still, this is very, very cool.
Yeah, and actually, honestly, I've seen some positive feedback regarding specifically now monitoring in the video development or video encoding space. But people are saying they're seeing some improvements writing for Grand Central Dispatch. Nobody has any final products out yet, but with an Apache 2 license, you're probably not going to see it in Linux either, at least not at the kernel level. You never know. Maybe somebody might write something in userland that can tie in with
The one thing
module
that
or
would be
something.
cool, I would like to see is if this can be ported over to the Linux side of things or the Windows
See,
side
but
of
it's not
things as a
GPL.
third-party thing. It doesn't have to be GPL'd. I mean, I know a lot of Linux distros want it to
But
be
if you could
GPL'd.
apt-get Grand Central
But if
Dispatch,
you can apt-get
like
it,
you can apt-get Apache.
and then that would make it easier for people to write software that utilizes this sort of thing cross-platform.
Yeah.
That's cool. I dig
Well,
that.
Definitely, because no plans in either AMD or Intel's roadmaps for less core CPUs. Like even
Yeah,
their
no
bare
one's-
bones
yeah.
CPUs, cheap bottom of the barrel, are dual core.
You know what? That would be a great April Fool's of this next year if like AMD came out and said, you know what, we're going back to single core across the board.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be awesome.
That would be pretty funny. I don't think it's very likely. So it's interesting. We'll see where this goes. It may not go anywhere. Apple is also the purveyor of Cups, which is an open source project. They've got a few,
Yep.
and also WebKit. So they do kind of have a history in the open source space. I just didn't expect this because it seemed like such a competitive thing for them. So, but I thought
I
I'd
didn't
give it a shot.
expect this so close on the heels of them releasing it with their current Snow,
Snow
Leopard
Leopard.
OS.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it just came out, so I wasn't
I
expecting that
guess
at all.
in their mind, if it does take off, which I don't know how much it will, but
Probably not.
if it did, then that just means more applications are going to run better under OS 10.
Right.
So, do you know?
I see it being more of a win in the scientific space where people are developing
If I'm-
scientific applications cross-platform.
Oh, absolutely, which they are.
That's the big thing
but
for this.
and I guess because you could bundle it like with the Windows version of your application.
Oh, for sure.
So if you're like, I forget, there's like that big scientific app that starts with a B that is Windows and Mac only. That Apple always trots out as like a example of how.
Oh,
best-
there's Mathematica and whatnot.
Yeah, Mathematica. There's something else that starts with a B, but Mathematica is a great example too. So if I'm writing an application for, say, Linux, what's the matter? If I'm writing an application for Linux, is there today? If I want to make it multi-core aware, is there a facility in place? Is this something that doesn't need to be fixed on Linux now? Do
It
you know?
doesn't really need to be fixed. I mean, the easier we make it to write multi-threaded and quote-unquote multi-core aware apps, which is really just making sure it's multi-threaded, that's better. But I mean, it is fairly easy to do on Linux currently.
And what about
the only big problem we have on Linux is like GNOME, right? On
Sure.
GNOME under Linux is kind of just a single-threaded beast, and that's just all there is to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about under Windows, the NT Executive?
As far as I know, there's no real big problems there. I mean, they've been moving forward steadily. I mean, you can write apps that take advantage of, multiple threads and across multiple cores. Not
Gotcha.
too big a deal.
All right, so I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to gauge, I guess, if this is a problem that needs to be fixed, or I mean, I feel like it is because I feel like I run too many apps that I always see pegging one core. But
Well, here's the thing: is if you're gonna fix it in a way that's really awesome, like what the Haiku guys are doing, right?
Sure.
With Haiku, I mean, with the if you didn't catch the last episode, go watch the last episode and watch Chris just totally freak out like a little schoolgirl
yeah.
over what you could do with multi-threading. Now, if you could do that on the other the other OSs
Right.
easily, that's very, very
that seems
cool.
more like a fundamental level change.
But
though.
exactly, and this is not that. But
Right.
this is good. This
Yeah,
is very good.
yeah.
So I'm not going to freak out, but I do applaud Apple for doing it.
All right, Brian, the next story on the news docket for this week. Red Hat has another fantastic quarter, believes better economic times are ahead.
I gotta say one thing really quickly. I kind of need to eat my hat just a little because I believe it was in the last season of the Linux Action Show I stated that I didn't feel that this would be continuing for Red Hat. I kind of made this basic little prediction that with the Red Hat's offerings that they would be going downhill around this time, and they are not. So I gotta tip my hat to them.
All right.
I just want to say that straight up. I'm actually impressed by reading through this.
Well, so this quarter, their earnings came in at $28.9 million, which is a 13% increase, or a 12% increase from the same quarter last year.
Yep.
One of the most notable things about Red Hat's report is that it has been true for many quarters in a row now. All 25 of its biggest accounts have renewed at subscription prices that are 20% higher. So what this means is Red Hat has a pool of clients that are their biggest clients. That like I mentioned last episode, one of their clients has I think maybe it was Walmart or somebody has 300 Red Hat servers. So they're probably in this list of top 25 people, and they've all renewed at higher prices for the Red Hat network.
Right.
So that's definitely really good.
That's good for Red Hat.
And it's like I've said before, the cost of the Red Hat network is such in an overall grand scheme of things, such a minimal cost as far as a production critical server that either houses your website where you make revenue or whatever it is that transaction processing or whatever it is that it does. The $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a year that the Red Hat network costs you is just not even a consideration, really. It's so minor to them because a few minutes of downtime for some of these companies is extremely expensive.
Very expensive.
So this was from the CEO, Jim Whitehurst of Red Hat. He says, IT organizations continue to move ahead with purchases of high-value solutions, and Red Hat is capitalizing on this demand as a result of our strong customer relationships and proven value proposition. These factors have contributed to our better-than-expected total revenue in the second quarter and drove annual subscription revenue growth of 15% for both the quarter and first half fiscal 2010. So some of this accounting already accounts for the first quarter of next year. Now, what I find interesting, though, is analysts are still saying they believe the primary bulk of Red Hat's new customer base is coming from Unix converters, not from people switching from Windows.
There's been holdouts for a lot of years.
And I think that's where maybe you were coming at from previously when you said that, is because eventually people are going to stop.
Right.
But, it seems like there's such this massive population out there that by the time these Unix systems run out for them people to convert to, they're going to have Windows systems deployed. They're going to be reaching a certain age that need to be upgraded. So it seems like they might actually be positioning themselves very well to pick up that next life cycle rollover.
They really might. What I need to look into a little further is I need to see with the most recent Microsoft and Novell results and really compare between the three of them, because I mean really those are three of the big ones that we need to be looking at, and really see how they're all doing in the same server and services space.
That is interesting. And the other thing, one last note I'll just make on this is the analysts also said that at a certain point the Red Hat needs to focus more on growing their existing top 25 base, and more than that, obviously, because right now their primary source of income is by renewals at higher prices, not necessarily from new customer growth. However, that does contribute. But right now, if you look at it on a scale, the renewals are at higher rates are driving the revenue more than new
subscriptions. They can't keep that up forever.
Right.
They've got to be able to come out with something new that actually gives people reason to do it.
And you're absolutely right. And Red Hat's take is on that is they believe they're positioned for the economy to kind of be bouncing back, and that's where they believe they'll pick up the new customers. So overall, great news from Red Hat, and it's good to see a strong competitor to the other systems that are out there, because while, there's some things going on with Sun and Oracle, and, Solaris is definitely still a contender, it does seem to be becoming Windows Server, Red Hat, and then Novell as a third.
In the first less and everything, yeah.
Right, and then you have your BSDs and your Solaris, and there's definitely some monster installations of Solaris doing some very critical things.
Huge.
But I'm just so unclear on where the whole Sun Oracle thing stands that it's very hard from my perspective to determine where that's going. So that uncertainty, because if I'm feeling that, I'm sure some other people are feeling that. That uncertainty is only going to strengthen Red Hat's position.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Well, the next story on the news docket for this week.
Okay.
Intel demos, remember I mentioned they just had their developer conference?
I did.
Intel demos a new way to interconnect devices and machines using light.
What?
Yeah, so this is nothing that's actually in production yet, but people that were there think it actually could be in the next few years. So at the base rate right now, and this is just a beginner's speed rate, they're getting 10 gigabits a second. So that means you could transfer the entire length of a Blu-ray movie in less than 30 seconds.
Okay, that's nice.
And what they're talking about is a single optical cable called LightPeak that you will interconnect your devices with. Now, initially, Intel's kind of pushing this for small mobile devices because they can build this. They can build the chipset for this super, super small, so they can make the mobile devices even smaller. But, obviously at 10 gigabits a second, they're going to be rolling it out for all sorts of things. Now, fiber optics is nothing too new in the industry, but what Intel's trying to do here with LightPeak is bring it down to a lower cost point where you could actually, say, include it with something like a Mamo tablet or a Moblin tablet or an Android, whatever. It's a very interesting proposition, and because what some of the people at the conference are saying is it really seemed like Intel already kind of had a whole marketing package around it. I mean, they're calling it LightPeak, which is, like how they came out with, or Apple came out with
Firewire. That's not exactly
a
development code name.
No, exactly. And they had marketing brochures and material for it. I mean, it looked like it was something they're already kind of prepping to launch. And, Intel obviously has a stake in this technology because...
Which, by the way, I've just decided that the development code name for it was Harry Potter.
Good, that's a good one.
Yeah. I've just decided that all Intel code names, unless I learn otherwise, are based on Harry Potter movies.
Have you seen the Intel Rockstar commercials? They're hilarious.
Yeah, I have. With the guy with the USB guy.
Co-creator of USB, and everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, he's like super cool.
How's it going?
Hey, everybody. Yeah. And the ladies are all fainting and everything.
Our rock
they got
stars
his T-shirts.
are different than everyone else's rock stars or something like that. So, Intel was heavily involved with the development of USB, and I think perhaps FireWire. And so if you buy a motherboard, or if you're a motherboard manufacturer, say like A-Bit or somebody like that, and you want to include a USB chipset, I think Intel gets a couple of pennies for that. So they obviously have a stake in making sure that they are very much involved in the next interconnect.
So they really like the guy that made USB.
They really like the guy, and they want another guy that just like that guy.
They want a few more of those.
But cheap fiber optics at 10 gigabits, and
I'm not going to balk at that. I like that.
And the side talk at the developer conference is they're like, yeah, well, I think we can push this thing to 30 gigabits and then go from there too. So when you're talking light, light tends to be able to go pretty fast.
Yeah, we like light.
That's kind of the thing about light. All right.
That's the thing about light, ladies and
it
gentlemen.
goes kind of fast.
You heard it here first. Light goes quickly.
The Computer Action Show declares.
This is an exclusive, everybody. You can take that to the bank.
Podcasts full of information. All right, Brian.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should start another show called just the Science Action Show, where we just tell people stuff about science.
Space is big.
It's just huge, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
you and good night.
You think light's fast? Well, it takes a long time to travel in space. Because space is that big. And that would be the show.
Yeah, that's it.
As long as we also had time to get a sponsorship and a plug for the Facebook page.
Here's what we do. We get we film 5 back-to-back episodes of Beer is Tasty, and
Right.
then we do the Science Action Show right afterwards.
Well, okay. Well, for one, we'd have to be sitting down because we wouldn't be able to stand.
I don't know. The very last Beer is Tasty we did, I believe I ended it on the floor.
You did.
So,
Yeah, you did.
So maybe I should just be on the floor starting.
Right.
What were we talking about?
Well, I was going to
let's
mention the
talk
next
about
story on
Dell.
the news docket.
Yeah.
So, Dell announces, and again at the Intel Developers Forum, Dell announces a Moblin Mini. This is their netbook. It's the Dell Mini 10. It's a 10-inch little Dell netbook. It's actually a pretty slick little machine. I'm not 100% in love with they have a big plastic band around the screen.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
you know,
sure
it's
about
a
that
decent device with a nice Atom processor and an LED backlit screen and a 10-inch screen. So and you can buy it running Moblin, but not just any Moblin. Canonical's Moblin, the makers of Ubuntu's version of Moblin.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And you remember when we went to Ubuntu Live 2 years ago, there was an Intel guy there.
There was.
And they were talking about how they're working on stuff. Now, Dell states they don't intend this to be a wide market option. It's mainly for developers to start working on Moblin, on Intel chips. And here is what they said. They just want Moblin developers to have best-of-class hardware to work with.
Okay.
But there's nothing stopping just anybody from buying these. They're being sold for $300, $300 US,
Nice.
and you can
What
order
kind
it
of
with
specs?
Moblin preloaded. It's the standard stock Intel.
So it's like the 1.6
yeah, it's the one-
Atom processor
1.6,
that everything
I think
has.
maybe a gig of RAM, and
You know,
you can get it with an SSD. But
so I don't care. I mean,
Well, but Moblin is I don't know, dude. I mean, if you-
Moblin's great, but I mean, what's the difference then between this or the MSI Wind or the HP MIDI 1000?
Well,
or,
this
or,
comes
or
preloaded
the
with
System
Moblin.
76.
This comes preloaded with.
But I can
Moblin.
load Moblin all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you're right.
I'm waiting
It's just-
for like
it's a
I
good
love
piece of
netbooks.
hardware anyways.
I love netbooks. I mean, I've
I
got
mean, like
two
I'm
of them.
looking at
but,
looking at this. I'm looking at this screenshot that they have of Moblin, and it
But that's just what Moblin looks like.
well, it looks good.
Well, Moblin does look good, but this is what I'm saying is why
You've got Mamo, you've got Android, you've got. And honestly, Brian, with the exception of Moblin, because I couldn't get it loaded on my Triple E because I didn't have
yeah.
the right type of CPU. I think it was.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
exception
with
of,
Moblin, you really got to go with the Atom processors.
and I have a Celeron in my Triple E.
Right.
But out of all of them that I did try, I'm talking Jolly Cloud, and Android. I'm going to review later in the show.
Man, Jolly Cloud's nice. Anyway.
I go back to Ubuntu Netbook Remix, the latest version, 9.10. It's still an alpha, but it has the most functionality.
It's nice.
I'll save it for the Android review. But anyways, but you know, $300, you get a really nice.
Now the price
you
is
get
good.
You get a Dell 10
That's
preloaded
nice,
with
yeah.
Linux, Moblin, and especially if you want to start developing. I mean, Intel is not joking around with Moblin. They are dead serious.
No, they're pushing it, and I love that. I love that. I'm just hoping to see something. I want to see like a little faster Atom processor. I want to see netbooks with a little more RAM in it besides just the 1 gig line. I want to see them push.
Yeah, they're trying not to. I think the point is they're trying to develop systems that run.
But
at
they're
that.
really not. But see, the problem is like this one. What's the battery life on it? Does it say anything? Because if it does, if they
I don't know.
If they aren't specifically saying this thing gets like 10 hours of battery life, that means it probably just gets the standard like 3, right?
Yeah,
I mean
probably.
that's just the standard.
I
the
mean,
way
I gotta
companies
imagine
go.
too. There's probably Moblin kind of in a rougher state. It's not fully
So I
polished.
mean, but
yet.
here's my thoughts though.
Okay.
So we've got the Triple E's. They came out and were great, super tiny. Oh my gosh, it's tiny and cheap. I love it. And
got
then
two in front of us right
and then
now.
we took a step up, and then we jumped from like the Celerons and whatnot into
Right.
Atom processors.
Atom, you started seeing
and
the
it's
Wind,
The
and
Atom
you
1.6
the
is the
HP.
standard processor
yep.
that every single netbook
and I think
uses.
the 1.8 might be out now.
But no one's using it.
No.
And the price has been within like $50 of each other for every netbook.
Oh, except for some of them now have the NVIDIA Ion,
Well, that's true.
and they're rocking some
Now,
decent.
does this one?
I don't think so.
Oh, see, this is the thing. I'm
I
like,
think the whole point of Moblin is like you're in the Intel world.
So then this one is the last generation of netbooks then.
Well, there's still quite a bit.
Hardware-wise.
They're not rocking the Ion because it's kind of expensive.
But see, this is my thing. They didn't come down on the price really that much. They didn't really come down on. They didn't make the
Well, I
battery
don't-
life all that much higher. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the specs are, so it could be, it could be that I'll look up the specs, but it could be that it's really, really good hardware. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's probably a slow hard drive, and it's
it's supposed to be on sale as of today.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Yep, it is.
And
So
so we'll take a look. But that's just the thing is I want something exciting. There's like the TouchBook Pro from Always Innovating.
Sure.
It's an ARM powered one. It's not the Atom, but it gets like 10 hours of battery life, has a touch screen and all these things
I do
for
like
almost
that.
the exact same cost.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so they're actually pushing it forward. They're doing something exciting and new. Whereas this looks just like
The problem
a
is-
rebuilt System 76 or HP Mini 1000 or
it's Dell's
something
take
like
on that,
It's
yeah.
Dell's take on it, but it looks like the hardware looks almost identical.
Well, yeah.
The keyboard looks the same. The specs are identical.
Here's the
so
problem.
far.
My problem-
I'm not
the
interested.
TouchBook, I mean, I love the fact that it can dock on a keyboard and it comes out and it's touchscreen only tablet. The what CPU does it use? It uses the is it a VIA chip or is what?
Oh yeah,
It's not an Intel x86 chip. It's a alternate.
it's the VIA thing. Yeah.
And the problem is while 90% chance I'd only be running it with Linux anyways, I like the ability to try out some of these new things like Moblin, like Android, like Jolly Cloud that are all for Intel x86 architecture. And when I lock myself into the VIA chip, I'm immediately limiting my options with that machine.
Sorry. Are we talking? Wait a minute. What are we talking
I'm
about?
talking about my problem with the TouchBook.
Oh no, that's ARM.
I mean, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
ARM,
sorry,
that's what
yeah.
it was. So the problem with the TouchBook,
Sorry, I was
though,
thinking about the old HP.
the problem with the TouchBook is while it's innovative, it immediately
locks
limits
you
me
in.
in that respect.
Yeah,
I can
no,
either
it
run
absolutely
I can
does.
run Windows CE or Linux.
But this is what I'm saying.
Well,
There's
not that Moblin isn't Linux, but you know what I mean.
Why not push forward then the Intel thing? Put in a slightly newer
'cause-
Atom processor,
because-
or put in just a little more RAM.
Because
Ram's cheap.
the ARM chip gets better
But
battery
RAM
life.
is super cheap.
If you want battery life, it's the ARM chip.
Now, I mean, of course, with the Intel Atom, you're limited to 2 gigs, and that sucks. But then why ship with 1 gig? The extra 2 gigs cost what, $20 at retail cost? You know it costs Dell like $1. So stick it in there.
Yeah, yeah. But eventually, you just gotta look at it and go, okay, maybe I don't need a netbook. Maybe I need like one of those Sony Vios that's super small, but it has full.
You're talking crazy, man.
I'm just saying.
You're talking crazy.
If you want ultra small, but you want high end processor and memory, then maybe you go something like a Vio. You're gonna pay for it.
Chris,
All right.
talking crazy.
Yeah, that's right. You want a MacBook Air. I'm sorry.
Dude, not cool.
Next story on the news docket for this week.
Just not cool.
Tell me what you think of this story, Brian.
Okay.
Google releases a fix for Internet Explorer. Well, it will be. I don't know if it's out yet. And it'll be a plugin that basically puts the Chrome rendering engine inside Internet Explorer. And the reason they're doing this is because Google's working on the Google Wave or Weave, whatever.
Yeah. They're
I'm brain farting
they're
on it.
communicate the Google Wave, the communication email
And it's
thing that's
so-
going to change the world.
It's so JavaScript heavy that and it requires a lot of different things in HTML5 that IE8 just doesn't
Google
even have.
changing the world with
And-
JavaScript overusage.
So the general takeaway that I had with this is that they tried to get it working under Trident. That's the Internet Explorer engine, and they just said, "F it, we're just going to embed Chrome inside Internet Explorer."
Sure.
Now, what do you think of this?
I think it's lame. I don't know the point of it. It's just a publicity stunt.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean,
Seriously, if you were going to go out and say, okay, because really what you're getting then is, I don't get it. What are you getting? And if you
Well,
were
here's what
going
you
to
get.
ditch Internet Explorer anyway, why don't you just go download Chrome
aha,
or Firefox?
here you go, sir. So, I have a couple of clients that have internal sites that require Internet Explorer. Now, they're not on 6 like a lot of people have to be.
So
They can be on
So
8.
is it or is it not using the IE rendering engine?
It is a plugin that you can have code that activates it.
So only specific code uses Chrome's
So you
rendering.
can right. Well, you can have it so that a site comes up and says,
Huh.
"Oh, you're on IE. Activate your Chrome plugin," and then boom, now you're using Chrome's WebKit engine to render with their what their V8 engine is. I forget what it's called. Their V8 JavaScript engine or whatever. And so then you're using that, and then when you browse out to another site, you're back to Trident. So which means Internet Explorer could remain your deployed browser for your compatibility with your internal sites or whatever it
Alright.
is that requires it. And then when they go to a site, it flips on, and now you're using Chrome to render.
You know what would be a better idea? If this wasn't an actual publicity stunt and Google was actually legitimately worried about making sure that IE users could utilize Wave, and that's all they were actually concerned about, they'd go to Microsoft, give them code, and say, here's
Maybe.
developers that will work with you and make sure it's implemented. Because you know what?
I don't know.
Microsoft wants to have the best browser. Just like Google does and Apple does and the Mozilla Foundation. They want to make the best browser. None of them
Right.
want to go out there and say, let's make a bunch of crap browsers. None of them are saying that. So, of course, if Google went to Microsoft and was legitimately
they're kinda
open and honest
competitors.
about
I
it,
mean, they're essentially competitors.
but that's what I'm saying. This is a publicity stunt. That's what this is.
I can see that. And Microsoft's really only response is that they consider it potentially making Internet Explorer insecure in the sense that if the Google Chrome plugin has a security vulnerability, now IE could be affected by
and
that.
here's the other annoying thing:
But,
is
that could-
if there's any problems with this little
Same with
plugin,
Flash or whatever.
and let's say it freezes IE or crashes IE, people are just going to blame Microsoft.
Well,
People are.
yeah.
That's what's
I
going to
mean,
happen. I mean, honestly,
I don't know. We'll see, because the
view
nice
it
thing
as
about
kinda
Chrome
lame.
is that one thing it does do really well is it crashes pretty gracefully. So I don't know if in plugin state, if maybe just the plugin will die and
See,
IE will
that's
keep
just
running.
the thing. Is yeah. I mean,
know.
you know what? I'll try it out and see what it's like.
I think it's going to be okay. Under
don't
Windows
know, that just
7,
seems lame to me.
IE8, Windows 7 combo, you have process isolation. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know, it is kind of dumb. But everybody just needs to drop Internet Explorer. It's just got to go. IE, it's just done. Basically, we need to get everybody off IE. That's just what it comes down to. Just quit using
I
it.
honestly don't care. I legitimately just don't care.
I don't care
The
beyond
browser
the
I have
point-
the most problem with is Firefox at this point.
I do too, as far as personal use.
Yeah.
But there is definitely problems when like tweaking like our site and stuff like that, where I'll forget to even try it in Internet Explorer because I never use it, and then I'll get a note from somebody that says, "Hey, I went to your site today, and this is crazy looking."
You know what?
And then it turns
Honestly,
out
what
they're running
I would
IE.
like more, I would much prefer us to move away from basic web browsers entirely. Go to rich internet application architectures like Flash and Silverlight and Moonlight, and run them across all our
boy.
browsers and just do
boy.
that.
Brian,
Because you know what? You know what's lame?
what?
JavaScript. All right, continue.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think that's going too far.
Okay, not lame.
You got to have your text in HTML.
I know. I'm just, it's old school. Let's use the new stuff. Let's embed, JavaScript 2, which is not current JavaScript, or C# or the ActionScript or something cool, and really just
I
push
got
the
you, man.
limits.
I got you.
Let's do
All
something
right.
cool.
Next
Come
story.
on, Google. I do
You're
not.
a Chrome user though, right?
I do. You know
Chrome
what?
for Linux is getting great.
It is. And here's the thing: is I've become more and more of a Google fan over time. I was really anti-Google there for a while, and they did win me over with some of their stuff.
Chrome.
Basically, it was Chrome that did it. Chrome is just a very good browser. They did a good job on it. But I just. If they're creating the next thing, like Google is sitting down and saying, we're going to revolutionize email and communication, everything will be different now. Really? You're doing it in JavaScript? I mean, it's just like, I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, so basically what they're doing is they're taking something like, like Outlook and Thunderbird and Evolution and all these other email clients.
Right.
They're taking all the functionality of them, mashing it in with instant messaging clients and chat clients and
Document
collaboration
stuff,
tools
yeah.
and smashing them into one thing. And of course, it'll run in JavaScript in a browser really, really great because all these native desktop applications are already having a hard enough time as is keeping up with the massive amount of data and number crunching involved for these sorts of operations.
I see what you're saying because you're just saying JavaScript is inherently just kind of clunky.
It's slow.
Well,
That's just the way it is.
I mean, that's the number one. The next development version of Firefox, they're saying our JavaScript speeds are going to be crazy great. Chrome, crazy great JavaScript rendering. I mean, they're making that fast.
They have made it a lot faster. I'm not denying that. It just seems like a strange route to go down to me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's from a dev standpoint, it's limiting.
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyway, so I doubt Google's thought process here. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's for the world to determine, Brian. You put that out there, and now the world
I'm
must
pretty
determine.
clear on this. I just determined it. World,
Okay.
fall in line.
All right, Brian, the next story on the news docket, a little bit of a downer, but I thought we should do a follow-up because a couple of episodes ago we did a Hackintosh session.
We did.
We talked about how to build a Hackintosh, and
Yeah.
we mentioned in there about a little chip you can plug into the USB on certain motherboards called the EFI-X, which emulates an EFI
Yeah.
environment so that way you can load a legal retail copy of OS X on your machine. from a stock CD.
It's kind of a cool idea.
Sure, and you want to try to be as legal as possible since it can be a gray area. And I'm not. If I'm going to use commercial software, I want to.
Pay for it, and I want to run it, as stock from the company as possible.
So when I built a system to try boot, and because my day job requires a Mac, and then I want to be able to boot other operating systems, and then I've played with it here and there, and I thought, well, I just want it to be as trouble-free as possible. So I spent, I think it was $180. I got it on sale.
Something like that.
$180 on this EFI chip. And so it's come out that there's a lot of accusations. So I'm not going to touch on all the accusations, but there's been some controversy around the EFI-X chip. And essentially what is fairly certain is that they are in violation to an extent of the LGPL.
Ugh.
Now, we're recording this on Thursday, so if there's an update where they've maybe released the code or something like that, then I won't be able to cover that. But as of now, it looks like they're in violation of the LGPL, and it's not like the way that I would have thought. I forget. It's a pretty straightforward, like little simple detail item that
they're
I'm
not
even
giving
sure.
attribution.
I'm not even sure why they're. Yeah. It's something like. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Is they're not attributing the source of the code. And that's a very simple thing to fix. They just got to get on it, boys.
And so here's the thing. So there are a lot of the controversy behind the EFI-X chip right now is that people were apparently, and I never got this, people were under the impression like this was some sort of magic chip. And then it's kind of coming out that essentially it's a flash drive with maybe a DRM chip and a special USB interface.
Right. It's nothing fancy.
Which is always what I thought it was. People, like, if I'm reading off of, I'll link to this OS News story. The author of the OS News story here seems to be completely dismayed that it's not some sort of magical chip that does amazing things. Like, it's only a flash chip. Well, yeah, it's a flash chip with drivers and an EFI code that I needed to get going.
Right.
I didn't think it was anything else other than that, because the way it works is the system boots off it as a USB device and then loads the operating system.
Yeah.
So
it's just a little bit of extra hardware for your PC.
I think maybe
Nothing
people are
fancy.
upset that they paid. I think it's as high as, depending on where you get it and when you get it, it's as high as $280. Maybe they're pissed that they're paying as high as $280 for.
I think that's a little
chip.
bit more of what it is. Yeah.
But what do you expect to happen? I mean, you're trying to load an operating system on a computer that's not even authorized to load on there. I mean, and you're getting upset about this. I'm like, no, you're taking this matters into your own hands. This is some of the risk when you're loading an unauthorized operating system on an unauthorized computer.
Not just unauthorized. It's untested, unsupported. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, Apple's not going to take the time to test it out. They're not going to support it. So if you want to build the hardware necessary to run software, regardless of who it's from, you can do that. There's just no guarantees it's going to work. There's no guarantees. I mean, who knows who you're going to have to source the parts from? That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and so there's a solutions now from the OS x86 community where there's bootloaders, things like that, where you don't have to have this chip. And I knew that when I bought it, but I just figured I wanted to make it as easy as possible because I don't want to fight with it. I just want to be able to do my job and then reboot. I didn't want to have to worry about that. But I thought I'd give a follow-up story because we did cover it last week, and then we got a comment pretty much immediately saying, how come you didn't cover the controversy? And I said, controversy? What are you talking about? Because I hadn't seen this yet. And then this kind of came out over the last couple of days, and so I thought we should cover it just to be fully
fair and balanced.
Bro.
Yeah.
So the last story on the news docket.
News, don't sue us for saying that.
I wasn't going to cover this story, Brian. I wasn't going to talk about this one.
Oh, we have to, though, because if you weren't going to bring it up, I was going to bring it up at the end.
Do you want to?
Oh, Lord in heaven.
I don't want to.
Yes, I do.
Because I feel like, okay, so what we're talking about here is...
because honestly, I feel, and there's an aspect to this I want to cover that I think maybe you weren't thinking about here.
All right,
So let's dive into it. So
there was a reporter or a blogger, I forget what he was. He was okay, here we go. Ubuntu developer Martin Owens attended the Software Freedom Day where he ran into Richard Stallman, RMS, and he asked him a couple of questions, and they got on the topic of Mono and C#.
Yep.
And then when it came down to Mono and C#, RMS said that while they're not a problem, you shouldn't write any applications in C#, and you should uninstall any applications using it.
Okay.
So,
all right. So you know what? We already knew that was his point.
Yeah, that's his opinion.
We know that. I'm not going to get
opinion.
into it. A lot of people think that. A lot of people don't. Not going to get into it right now.
Not a big deal. All right. So then moving on, the conversation shifted towards the new open source labs that Microsoft is firing up, that there's been some talking about, which I haven't really talked about much because I'm kind of following it to see where it
Though
goes.
it has been ongoing for a long time now.
Oh, yeah. But it's kind of, they're officializing it
Yes.
with, yeah. No, it's been something that if you're in Washington
They've been
State,
working. Yeah, Microsoft and Novell have been working together on this for some time.
And if you're in Washington State, there's lots of, over the years, there's been job postings and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
always been something I'm kind of watching going, okay, where are they going with this? So we really haven't talked about it much because I didn't have a clear understanding, like many things Microsoft, what their intentions are. So when the conversation shifted towards these sort of more official open source labs now,
Yep.
That's what this Ubuntu developer Owens asked him. Stallman noted that he feels that Miguel Iricaza is basically a traitor to the free software community. He also added that Iricaza is a Microsoft apologist, as proven by his involvement in the new open source labs, and that does not inspire confidence in Miguel's intentions.
Okay, so I think it's pretty safe to say that everyone can just guess what I'm going to feel on this.
Well, and let's give a little background. Miguel Iricaza, now he's really well known for being
so he was
a key player in the Mono world.
A long time and very prominent GNOME developer.
He's the co-founder of GNOME, actually.
He's
the co-founder of the GNOME project, and he's also the creator of GNU Numeric, which is one of my favorite spreadsheets.
Yeah, great spreadsheet.
And he also started a company based around supporting GNOME and GNOME developers that essentially enabled them to work full-time, paid on the GNOME desktop.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually wearing my OpenSUSE shirt today just because of this story.
Are you?
I am indeed. Got to show some respect and support. So
should I read his response, or do you want to talk about this for a little bit?
Read the response real quick so we get the full
thing.
So
Iricaza responded on his blog, and I'll link to the article. It links to all this different stuff about what Stallman had to say, and he responded as such. I want to say that God loves all creatures, from the formidable elephant to the tiniest ant, and that includes Richard Stallman. As for me, I think there is a world of possibility, and if Richard wants to discuss how we can improve the pool of open source free software in the world, he has my email address.
Love
Pretty
it.
civil response. Pretty good response.
Crazy civil response. I do like the insinuation that Richard Stallman is an ant. Liked that. Great
not an
deal. I'm pretty positive. Yeah. Anyway,
he's the tiniest ant.
It came across great. Is all I'm going to say. So the thing though, and I'm definitely probably with Iricaza on this one. Obviously, I think Richard Stallman's a little bit full of crazy over this again. But I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
What I want to talk about is the reaction it got. People are not coming out and saying, oh, yeah, Richard Stallman's got a good point. People are coming out and saying, are you kidding, Richard Stallman?
Really?
Yes.
Because I would figure that Iricaza is kind of
in some
controversial
circles,
these days because of his
polarizing, polarizing figure.
It's great.
But if you look through things, if you read through the forum posts in various places, if you read the various news items around,
you're right. A lot of these comments.
The general gist of it, even from people that I know are very big Free Software Foundation supporters and people who don't even like Mono at all, like people who have yelled at me because I've been pro-Mono, they're coming out and saying, whoa there, Richard Stallman, too far, not cool. And I think it's strange that this might be one of the things that is breaking the camel's back of just making people fed up with the antics and the things that Richard Stallman is saying as sort of the poster child for the open source movement. And that makes me gladdened in my heart. My heart is warmed. My cockles are jubilant, and I am pleased.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it does that or if it just makes people more polarized. It honestly starts to feel like Republicans versus Democrats after all, and then I just start to tune out.
See. This is why I think it's not that, because people are not saying, "Oh, Mono is great." But what those people were saying is, "Dude, not cool, Richard Stallman for doing
what
that."
I didn't like about it, and I think maybe this is where people are coming from,
he called him a traitor.
You can do something in the open source community that's just so beneficial, like being the co-founder of GNOME.
Yep.
And then when somebody disagrees with something else that you believe in,
you're a traitor.
I just
see that's
why
that's
switch
the
like that? Was he a traitor when he was working on GNOME and creating a business that employed full-time GNOME developers?
Exactly. So this is what I like about it. I like the general reaction that people are having to this, which is overwhelmingly that if maybe not pro Mono, maybe not pro open source labs and Microsoft, but anti the approach Richard Stallman is taking to those things. And I like that.
All right.
That pleases me a lot because it shows a great deal of maturity among all of us
It does
as a
seem
community.
to trend the direction that the conversation.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that means that we can work together regardless of what each individual's personal viewpoint on how we get between the points.
I got
so I
you,
like
man.
that.
All right, Brian, the last story, I'll just really quickly, I'll touch. We've been talking a lot about Android devices, and we'd mentioned the
Yes.
Arcos was going to be coming out with an Android-based media device. It's out. It came out in between the last show. We had a lot of rumors, so we've talked about this a couple times, but just to make it official, the Arcos 5 Internet tablet runs Android. Here's a couple of the highlights. Brian, are you ready? All right. It has...
Oh, man, I'm ready.
It has a gorgeous screen. I'm looking at these pictures. They're gorgeous.
Does.
But
it looks phenomenal.
it has an 800 megahertz processor.
Yep.
They have a 4-inch 800 by 400 screen. It can pump out 720p video out the built-in HDMI port, and it has support for WMV, including WMV with copy protection.
Yep.
Yay, plays for sure. H.264, DivX, XVID.
Yeah, that's all good stuff.
It doesn't look like it has support for OGG Theora video.
Nothing has support for all.
I know, it's really
that's
crazy.
That's just the way things are
they've
nowadays.
got XVID and DivX, and I think maybe even there's some people saying they have MKV support for the
Oh, that's
X.264.
very cool.
It has 802.11 and Wi-Fi built in.
Nice.
And you can buy them with a version that has a 5...
Wait, did you say 802.11 and Wi-Fi?
No, 802.11n Wi-Fi.
Oh, and Wi-Fi. I was like, I said and Wi-Fi.
And you can buy
Wait,
it with
what?
a hard drive built in of up to a capacity of 500 gigabytes. So this is a handheld
Oh, that's nice.
Android
Oh, that's nice.
4.8-inch screen tablet with a 500 gig drive. This thing, I look at this, and this to me says Zune HD killer, iPod Touch killer.
Dude, it is pretty hardcore.
And it's going to have an Android app store. It's going to have an Arcos app store. I don't know if it's also going to have the Android app
I would
store.
hope so. I would hate to see it just limited to the Arcos specific, apps that they approve. But
They're calling it the App Lib.
you know what? It's they aren't the first one that have talked like this. A lot of people are talking in terms of having custom app stores on top of Android, and that kind of makes me cock my head to the side a little bit. I don't quite understand that. Why not just have everyone use the Android store and just keep it the same?
I'm with you.
But just the same, this does look like a pretty phenomenal
It does.
piece of hardware.
And in the video version, we're showing pictures of it right now, and it looks really thin. It looks like a
It's
nice
thin,
device.
It's slick. Its video out is
And
great.
Dude, the interface it has, so you can get it with an optional dock, so you can always have the HDMI connected to your...
Arcos has been great about that. They've
Yeah.
done that forever,
And you can do this,
I've used
the
it
Zune HD
extensively.
as a dock, right? But
Yep.
the interface looks
I
like
don't
it
know though. The Zune
scales-
HD does look awfully nice.
Well, there are some aspects of the Zune HD that look really nice. I
The
agree
screen
with
is
you.
gorgeous
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, but this little device, I don't know, man. You look at the functionality this thing has, and look at the specs. It has an on-screen keyboard, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
But
Looks
you can also get it with an accessory attachable keyboard, so you can get a little physical keyboard action.
I
going.
like that.
Right?
Is that a D-pad type thing?
Yeah, it's got a D-pad on it, and it's got some playback controls.
I
And
want that.
but you know what's cool? You want to know what's cool?
I do want to know what's cool.
It's wireless. The accessory keypad. So when you do have it hooked up to your TV, you still get all of the functionality of the Arcos tablet. So like its email ability, its IM, its Twitter, everything like that. And you can type it out on this physical keyboard that also can control your video playback hooked up to your TV.
Oh, I kind of want this now.
I know, isn't that cool?
I went into this thinking, hey, that's cool, but I don't need it. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know why, but that keyboard being wireless and everything, that just made me suddenly want it bad.
But because it's got USB ports on it too, they have an example of somebody hooking up a full size USB keyboard to work with it too.
Oh, man.
Which is pretty neat. It just looks like a great
There
little
are
device.
just way too many devices coming out at the
I
end
know.
of this year.
Well, this is totally an area that we're getting into now, and
It's phenomenal. It's like it's too many, right? Okay, the Zune HD has the most gorgeous screen I've seen in a long time.
yeah, well, that OLED screen.
It just is.
yeah.
It's just great looking. And plus, like in terms of like a one-stop shop, like the iTunes or Zune Marketplace or Rhapsody.
Right.
Microsoft's kind of got the nicest one of those. So if that's the thing that you want, you kind of got to trend that way. So that's a cool
Yeah, like
device.
a subscription.
The Nokia, the N900 is just insanely cool looking.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'm like, these are all coming out. Plus, there's like 20 billion more Android phones coming out. I mean, there's new Windows Mobile hitting in like a couple of weeks, and it's too much for my little brain to handle. It's too many devices, and I only have about $3 in my pocket right now, and I want to buy them all.
Arcos has always kind of been out there with some leading stuff, but I mean, I really think they've nailed it this time.
This is big.
Jeremy's asking what the price is, and it looks like depending on the hard drive you get it with, it ranges from a starting
like
price
500 something, right?
Yeah, it starts at $250 and goes up to $440 for the big mamma jamma. But then you're gonna want to probably get a dock and maybe the keyboard.
You're gonna hit 500 or at least four something before you're done.
At $250, that's totally iPod Touch price range.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Zune HD. So
I don't know if I actually understand the iPod Touch. I don't know if I get the appeal of it.
Well, it's cheap. It's the most direct way into the app to get apps from the app store. Is what Apple says.
Thank you, Phil Schiller of Apple.
Did I mention?
Still, I don't understand it.
Did I mention that it also has a GPS chip and a Bluetooth chip? So it's supposed to be a good GPS chip too, is what they're saying. It's not just it's
not just like a little one,
like a wiki one. No, it's supposed to be pretty.
Does
good
it come with like decent like GPS navigation software that goes with it?
I don't know about that.
See, because that would be cool.
But that seems like something
that could come in the App Store.
Yeah, and then you probably have Google Maps until then.
No, that's true.
But it says something on here about being able to tether. They have specifically a little Arcos connection software so that you can tether to a 3G phone over Bluetooth, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Oh, wow. Check this out, dude. With the optional DVR dock, it can also capture TV and be a DVR for TV.
Well, they've actually, the last couple of years, the Arcos devices have all done that.
But, I mean, this seems like
an Android device that's doing that.
That just seems like icing on top of the cake for this thing. Which I got to wonder... They don't make note on here about
here's the one thing that I really like about this. So Arcos has always had like their own custom like software stack.
Yeah.
And it's all been Linux based, but it's all been their own custom thing. I dig that they are coming out with this cool Android device, and they're not losing functionality when they do it. They still are bringing all the functionality that we expect from the old Arcos devices, put the new apps on the Android side of things, and I think that's pretty cool. Because that means that maybe there's a shot that we'll get some of these apps on other Android devices too down the road if maybe Arcos sees some value in selling them.
So here's a couple of other notes. So one of the things the Arcos guys are saying is you can throw it in your dock, and then you can attach any Bluetooth mouse and keyboard to this thing and use a full mouse and keyboard. So you can browse TV, you can browse the internet on your TV with a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. There's no flash playback yet. But
because it's Android.
Well, but they're going to. They say they have plans to issue a software update that will add Flash into the device.
Yeah, that's what someone else was saying that recently about their Android devices too. So I believe, what is it, the Flan update that comes with Flash,
Maybe.
or they're pushing it? I don't remember, something like that.
Very cool. And Gadget's got a great article on it, which I'll link to in the show notes, including a couple of use videos so you can see how usable the UI is. But I am so impressed that I think
it is nice. It is nice. You can't shake a stick at how nice that is.
Good point, Brian.
And you can quote me on that.
All right, Brian. Well, that's all the news.
I have no idea what that meant.
For this week.
Yes, it is. Do-do-do-do.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Why don't you play with that for a little bit
this
so we can talk about
is
that?
the Android. How do I do
we doing, Jeremy? How
the
long is the show?
thing?
58.
Well, we're hitting it. You passing out over there?
No,
Now you're conscious?
I'm conscious.
You're good to go?
What the heck is this little...
Into your house.
Oh, there it is.
Huh?
I'm worried about moving from this spot.
Yeah. Well, that does open. You can always just go...
My shoes are in.
How do I... Oh,
And I have
home.
a shuttle in your office.
Yeah, home, and then you've also got functionality with this button that does some stuff.
Which button?
That little like old right click or whatever you want to call it. This guy right here.
Oh, nice.
And that's different apps will do different stuff. Escape backs up. I haven't figured out all the keys yet. So
How do I... How do I toggle between tasks?
I don't know. I always just rerun the application and then go get my...
Oh, there it is.
Like hit this little button in there, or when you're in the web browser,
Mhm.
and then hit the little, yeah.
Ah, nice.
Well, it's a good thing our show was paused.
So so right now for the people watching the stream right now, Brian's checking out. I have Android installed
Does the
on
webcam
my
work?
Triple E PC. I don't know. Maybe. I know they're working on it. I don't know if this build does. It's close. It's
Yeah.
close.
All right. That's not so bad.
That's getting there. And then there's so I don't understand what I did wrong, but this is supposed to come with a lot more apps, including an App Store client.
Oh, really?
And it's not on there. And I don't. They say they now include it, and I don't have it. But I specifically want to do a video on an Android podcasting client because I want to show people that they can download our shows on the road if they have Android. But
That'd be cool.
But I haven't been able to install it on there. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about in the review. But I need to bookmark. I need to bookmark where people can get it. So it's kind of a roundabout way to get to this. But basically, there's some people at Google that are working on making a live CD of Android.
That's pretty
for
cool.
general installation on x86 hardware. And there's a couple of dead pages out there, so let me find the right one so I can link to it for
Calendar
peeps.
doesn't work.
No, I know, yeah. Read me first. Where there's a couple of different projects, so it's difficult to find.
Yeah. Dialer here.
Yeah, as long as I can get some help getting these stuff,
So this isn't it.
Okay, dial that number.
Yeah, I know that dialer's funny, huh? You can also do like fake. You can turn on like a fake GPS
Huh.
and stuff like that.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Good thing we had paused.
Yeah.
Set my phone on silent.
Shoot, I wish I could find it so I could link this up for the chat room so they could check it out. So they could check it out, Brian.
Yeah, I would like to check it out. Add.
Hey, look at you. So how did you do that? I was trying to figure out how to do that.
Oh, man, this is slow.
Well, it's the transitions. It's only the transitions that's slow. Otherwise, it runs pretty good. I know how to turn off. If you can figure out how to turn off those transitions,
I
that'd be
got
awesome.
a clock, and I cannot. Well, that's weird. So widgets have to stay in the middle. Okay, got it. That's strange and unnecessary. Oh, and it's just really slow. Okay.
Anytime it does that fade transition, it's painful.
Yeah, that is pretty painful.
Oh, they have a Twitter page. Check these guys out.
All right. All right, let's see if the calendar...
So this is different than
No
the one I'm
more
using.
room on this home screen. Okay, so you can only have
Yeah.
one widget. Got it.
Yeah. Huh? Brian's screen isn't on the presenter.
Okay, and then if you drag the widget off,
Huh?
it comes back.
I want to be able to see
Interesting.
a screen. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, they don't have the software for Android.
Yeah.
These operating system. I'll bring up some screenshots.
Yeah,
though.
I'll just whip that out. I'll whip out a quick little screen broadcasting application for Android here for you, Jeremy. You're welcome, big guy.
Hey, my foot hurts.
It's all for you, Jeremy.
My foot hurts.
Jeremy hurt his foot before the show, everybody. So he's a hurting unit.
Still doing my job.
He's a trooper though. So don't misunderstand. He's a trooper. All right, I'll bring up some images on my screen of what the interface looks like.
Okay, let's refresh this.
They're kind of butt images, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I'm not huge on butt images.
No, I know.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Not interested in butt images so much.
Oh.
Did you do something
What?
to the desktop presenter?
No.
Seems like they drifted on all of our shots.
All right.
What?
It's like the image that I was using for the desktop shrank and drifted a little bit, and I just had to reset the shot.
Ah, I don't think so. Maybe I might have.
Hardcore.
All right.
Hardcore.
So
Shabbos.
So tell me when you're ready.
I will. I'll be ready in just a sec.
You're gonna want me to be showing those pictures, aren't you?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, if possible.
Is that a problem?
Do that.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna. They're not
Jeremy can do that.
They're not super applicable.
Hey,
but-
Chris.
Yeah.
There's a Jeremy for that.
There's a Jeremy for that. That's true.
Yeah.
Visit the new Apple Jeremy store.
So did you know that our Jeremy is the cheapest way to get access to the Jeremy store?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It also has the cheapest apps. Trust me.
Yeah, our Jeremy is.
We have an especially broken Jeremy tonight too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been hacked.
Poor Jeremy.
Oh, crap, you you guys. I have a better URL that I want to give out to people, but I can't find it because of my dumb.
Oh, no.
Because of my dumb, you guys.
Yeah.
Real quick on Chrome, though.
Yeah.
I don't mind that they're taking over everything because
Android-x86.org.
vastly
Maybe.
superior.
You like Chrome quite a bit?
Yeah, it loads faster. It does crash sometimes.
You've had Chrome crash on you? See, I haven't really had Chrome crash on me.
I've had individual tabs within Chrome screw up big time.
No, it doesn't like screw up on my computer at all. If it has crashed, which I think it's done once or twice, it just closes. I just open it right back up. It doesn't give me any stupid error messages or ask me to send bug reports.
Acknowledge and information. It doesn't give you anything like that. It just disappears unexpectedly, and when it reappears, it doesn't tell you why.
Oh, it was Android-x86. Who said that in the chat room? Who wins?
I believe that was Rikai.
Good job.
Said he's always here, by the way, if you want to make him an op.
Oh, is he? All right. He wants to be an op? Does he want to be an op?
Perhaps. All right. And I itch my sweaty ear briefly.
All right. I
Man,
got this
oh,
thing.
man.
I got this thing bookmarked.
Saints alive.
Yeah.
There we
Okay.
go.
So this is a lot better. This is the thing is, if you don't get it from here, you're getting older code, and it'll screw you up. And so this is what happened to me before. Is I went and grabbed Jeremy. Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Yeah. We can definitely. Now I got stuff to show. Oh yeah. Now we're rocking. Now we are mother.
Oh yeah.
We are mother effing cooking with mother effing gas right now, you guys. We are mother effing cooking with it.
I do like the mother effing cook gas.
So let me show you something, Brian. So this is what
That's what's installed.
you see. This is what the screen's supposed to look like. See, they have App Store client on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more stuff that I didn't get on mine.
Yeah, you missed stuff.
So I don't know what happened.
Maybe it's just a build you got.
No, dude, I grabbed 2 different builds.
And both of them were like that?
Both of them are like
Well,
that.
then that must not be what's currently available.
But then I look at the release notes, and that's what they say is currently available. So explain that, Brian. Oh, you can't. I win. Right?
That is the weirdest request I think we've ever gotten. Just someone requested in the chat room. Alexander requested that we dress up like Steve Jobs and Phil Schiller for one episode. I find that creepy.
Halloween show or April Fool's
It's the
Day?
Halloween show. We've got to come up with something better than that for the Halloween show. 'Cause I don't know. Steve Jobs and Phil Schiller just feels a little...
I'd have to shave.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen.
Although I could play fat Steve Jobs. Like before he had all the problems and he had a little beard.
Oh,
going.
he did have a little beard. And I
Yeah.
could play Phil Schiller after he had the stomach stapling. Which I don't think he's done yet.
It'd be like a slam. Like you
Wait a minute. Right there, did we just get weird and girly about talking about the head of marketing of a software company? We need to really change the topic fast. Cause
I like
this is
girls
just not going.
and pizza.
Yeah,
beer.
and beer.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
Truck shows.
I like watching football.
No, you don't.
I don't like watching football.
All right, so we're delaying here. I'm pausing for a second because I'm downloading an ISO image because I might be able to just run. I might be able to just run it under VMware. I don't know. I'm trying it out.
You're such a goober.
I know. I'm not ready yet because I might be able to just run the actual
It's
operating
downloaded.
system. Hey,
Get busy.
I'm getting busy over here.
Get busy going or get busy dying.
They
as
recommend a
say.
gigabyte of memory to run Android. Does that blow your face off a little bit?
Do you have less than 8 gigs on any computer?
Oh, wait, this is on this one because it has a physical limitation of 4 gigs because it's old.
Oh, right.
But I just thought it was funny. I thought it was just funny that they.
So what's important about this game I'm playing is that, and I kid you not. So I created
Brian,
a dinosaur.
Brian, how come you're?
I
how come you're
created a
cock gobbler,
dinosaur.
Brian?
I created a dinosaur because there's a fish in the water.
Brian, how come you're a cock gobbler?
The fish ate the dinosaur.
Fish ate the dinosaur.
This is what I'm saying. The fish tries to eat you if you go in the water because you have to save this flower from the water. Apparently, the fish is guarding the flower. So I pulled open this notepad that lets you magically create anything you want if you type the name. I typed dinosaur. It's a T-Rex. Awesome. I threw it into the water. The fish ate the dinosaur as the dinosaur freaked out, tried to run away, and died.
Your dinosaur's a puss, dude.
I
My
have
dinosaur
terrible
would never do that.
dinosaurs, is
My
what I'm
dinosaur would
saying.
never do that.
What happens if you type in flower magnet?
That's actually the best idea I've ever heard. I
Flower
need to
magnet?
try that.
You guys are both crazy.
Actually, one thing I heard about that game is that it's not as much fun to play as it is to talk about playing.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding so far.
All right, Jeremy, can you see Android okay? It's booting up right now.
I can see it awesomely.
Yeah. Alexander did see the Penny Arcade Scribblenauts comic. That's
See here, I just downloaded today's build, and it doesn't have those apps.
yeah. They don't have it right now.
I wonder if I have to build it myself. All right, I'm ready. I'm sorry about the delay, everybody. I'm ready.
Again, that screen doesn't take up the whole space. Is there?
No,
You can crop it to make it fit if you want.
No, just leave it because I might also switch over to the web browser.
Can you switch real quick just to make sure that nothing's screwed up on my end?
It's not. It's not a full res.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'll here. So there's my web browser,
All right, great.
and then here's like a page.
Earlier, it like moved. And
I was probably screwing around. So I'm going to show this page. Does that look okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's make it happen, everybody.
the magic is
This
about
video is
to
going to be
begin.
huge. I'm not going to be able to post it anywhere.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Being as we like to spend a huge amount of time talking about Android as a platform.
No, it's not that, Brian.
Well, there's a lot of Android news, so it makes sense.
I'm getting kind of excited about Android.
You can run Android on all these different phones, and now the Arcos portable media players.
Well, can I tell you my story? Let me tell you.
I want a story.
Let me tell you a little story.
This is what I've been
So,
waiting for is a story. I'm
covered-
gonna say you straight. I'm not gonna listen to you now. I'm gonna listen to you later tonight as I'm trying to fall asleep because I love a good story. Go.
Gotcha. We covered Haiku in the last episode of the Computer Action Show, and I was so excited about Haiku that I rushed away from the show and I said I gotta load this on my EEE PC. This would make an amazing Netbook OS.
It really would.
I had problems. I couldn't get Haiku installed
On your EEE.
on my
yeah.
EEE.
Yeah.
Uh,
I tried on the EEE also, had lots of problems. So
I posted a
you're not
video
alone.
over on our YouTube channel of the problems I'm having, so if you might have some suggestions.
Yep.
But I did try safe mode, and I did try disabling DMA. And
Yeah, I
others.
worked on it for a while too. It just does not seem to like
So,
the earlier EEEs.
I felt setback, Brian, but I said to myself, Chris, you got to pick yourself up and you got to move on. What else could you do? And you know what I said to myself? Let's try out Android. So
Wow.
if you've been following Android at all, you know there's this operating system from Google. It's called Android. And one of the things that they're doing is they also want to make a netbook OS called Chrome OS. I don't know why. They've already got an OS called Android. And they've also got a team at Google working on a project to make it run on x86 desktops and
You know what would be
laptops.
really funny if Chrome OS actually turned out to just be Android, but a different code name.
It should be, because I don't know why they would make it.
I have no idea why not.
All
yeah.
right. So if you want to load Android on a netbook, or maybe if you want to just run it, they have instructions to get it working in VirtualBox and VMware.
Yeah.
You want to get it from android-x86.org. If you just search for Android Live CD, you'll go to an old Google code project that is no longer current code.
And there are projects from other people
Yes.
outside of that have tried to put their own together, and most of it just doesn't work.
So you want to get it from android-x86.org. They have instructions on there on how to run it as a live CD or how to install it. Now, how to install it. They have kind of a rough installer. If you're watching the video version, I'll kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. But just like you can do with like a modern Linux distribution, you boot off this live CD. Now, for my EEE, I've got one of those old Xbox 360 HD DVD drives.
Yeah.
And I just use that now as my USB CD-ROM drive because I'm obviously
Why
not watching HD
What,
DVD.
what else are you going to do with that
Nah,
thing?
yeah. So I boot off of that live CD, and they also include like a raw image that you could write to like a USB stick or a SD card. But I figured I'm going to install it to the internal 4 gigs. I have my EEE PC 701. So you boot up, and it does take you, if you choose installation, to a text-based installer. If you install Debian back in the Dizzle,
Wow.
you're down with like a plan with this.
That is old school looking.
Yeah, and it uses the old.
ANSI graphics. I do love the.
It uses an ANSI graphics installer. It uses an old partitioner, but it's literally like 3 screens that you have to answer questions on, and then
then it goes.
And then the last screen is, do you want to install a bootloader, which you probably do, and then you're done, and then it takes 5 minutes to install Android, and then you reboot, and you have Android now installed. It's really it's not pretty, but it's super painless.
Well, that works.
Yeah, it's super painless. So I, for the purposes of the show, installed it on my EEE PC, and I also have it running here on a VM image that I'll be showing in the video version. Now, on the EEE PC, you actually get a better experience than you do in VMware, because in VMware, it has some sort of weird power management thing where it's detecting that my battery's running low, and so
Right.
it
Right.
kind of gives me error messages and things like that. They have added Ethernet support into Android, so you can use it with a wired connection, or like on a netbook, you can use the Wi-Fi connection. I have my EEE PC here connected to a WPA protected Wi-Fi network.
Actually, as we've been recording the entire show, I've got our website up here, and I've got our JupiterBroadcasting.com/live, where I can actually sit in the chat room here, and it works perfectly great. I haven't had a single issue with it.
The only thing that's a little weird, right, is Android's designed to work in an interface where there's physical, like a home button screen, and there's volume buttons and stuff like that, and they've mapped stuff to the keyboard, and I'm kind of learning that.
Yeah, they've done it as best they can.
This is true blue Android. Like you could develop applications for this. You can use a lot of the stock operating system things. They've even got a dialer in here. There's a way to get fake GPS signals. It's actually it's pretty neat, and
I like the idea of fake GPS signals.
Yeah, and it comes with the kind of the basic apps. I'm not quite sure if I'm grabbing the wrong images. Or
what would you do with a fake GPS signal? The only thing I can think of is to tell your computer, "I'm over here."
It's
like, what else do you do?
It's essentially to test apps that are location aware.
All right, that's fair. I just find the concept funny to me.
It's
because honestly, that's all I would do with it. I'm like, I'm in Iowa.
I'm in Iowa. I like that's where you go. That's awesome. Of course, that's where Captain Kirk is, so that's why you would go there.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I've had
There's
trouble.
There's a statue there, dude.
I've had trouble loading apps from the. I turned on third-party application sources.
Sure.
Real easy to do in Android. You can go into the settings and there's just a single checkbox in here where you can say under my application section allow unknown sources, and then once you say I want to allow those, you can then go out to the web and download any app built for Android. I specifically wanted to check out Listen for Android because it's supposed to be a pretty decent podcasting client for Android.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
not so much luck.
Well, I turned it on, and then I would download the application packages would download complete. I would click on them, and then I would have an error saying invalid package. I don't know why exactly. So
I guess that could also be due to the fact that you don't have like the App Store or anything else. So
no, but one of the things that is out there is it's an app client, and it's an App Store client that gets you to the Android App Store. So I don't know why I'm unable to install packages. So that kind of put a little bit of a hamper on my project.
Did it make you sad, big guy?
A little bit.
It's still kind of cool that it's running this well with Wi-Fi working.
It runs pretty good. The speed's good except for one problem, and that is there's little animations, like fade animations, when you transition between screens or something pops up.
Yep.
And that fade effect is really slow on the EEE.
Yeah.
It's also slow in this VM I'm running it on. I've run it on other higher-end VM systems, and I didn't even notice it. So I didn't notice it until I took it to the EEE. Now, there's no 3D acceleration, and there's also some things you can turn off now. See, what's strange is I had turned off all the animations I could find in the Android settings, and even once I hit off on these, I still have the animation. So I don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong. I'm not an Android expert, so I've got to play around with it. But you can load widgets on there, and if I get the package installations going, I'm really set up here. I can get a full Android OS on my screen. Now, because it is Android, it renders really well on the EEE 7-inch screen. It looks pretty good.
Actually, yeah, it looks great. It really does remind you of just a netbook OS.
Yeah.
it's what it feels like.
It does.
It feels like
it doesn't really feel
you're
like
running
a phone OS.
Like a modified Jolly Cloud almost.
Now, what I will say is, compared to Haiku, it boots slow. But compared to maybe a full Ubuntu Netbook Remix, it boots faster. I've also been trying out, I did a quick video over at youtube.com/JupiterBroadcasting on the current Ubuntu Netbook Remix, which I'm really digging. I think I'll probably eventually run that instead of Android. But this Android is definitely fun, and it's really impressive where they've got it now. Now, if I can just get around some of these problems, maybe get a little bit better performance. When I close the lid, it doesn't sleep. I don't see a sleep option in there.
Man, why is that always such a hard thing?
Well, I don't think they have it built into Android yet.
No, I know,
it's
but
working under
even,
Ubuntu Netbook Remix now.
But I mean, even with many Linux distros and all sorts of things and Haiku and everything else, I think it's because things just have a hard time with it.
ACPI, I think, is a junk standard.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Man. Because it's always that's always the one thing. If you go into any Linux distro forum, they're always talking about, does sleep work? Can I close the lid? That's like the second thing right after either Wi-Fi or sound is broken.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it does appear also that I'm not sure about sound, but it does have it does have an MP3 player. Try going to Google now. See, one of the nice things in Android is you just start typing if you're not in an active text input box, and see, I think you're probably in an active, but it just brings up the Google search, and now you're just searching the web and your local phone and stuff like that. But search for and app client and see if you can install it, because if you can install and app client, it's all one word, then you can get the Android marketplace on this, and then that would really make I think it's maybe it's an app client. That would really make Android on a netbook a little more compelling for me.
Yeah, that would make it much more interesting. I mean, that for sure would.
Now, the UI of Android is the stock, non-modified. You're not getting like the touch flow or anything like that, but you can actually tweak it yourself. And depending on which download you get of the Android-x86.org project file, it will come preloaded with some apps. Now, it's supposed to come preloaded with and App Store. Were you able to find that?
And App Store.
Oh, and App Store. Sorry, that's what it is.
No problem,
not
Chris. I just expect, full of,
right.
Whatever, it's all right. No big deal.
And it comes also, it's supposed to also come with a built-in video player and a few other things, a game and a couple other things. My builds didn't have that, but I read their release notes and they say it's included, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong to get that. But so now that's their web-based store. So I think you want the second Google result, because the second result, hit escape to go back. The second result, I think, is the actual client.
Aha,
Yeah.
found it.
So
Founded it.
So
Yeah, this is actually fairly responsive.
Yeah, it's not bad,
I'm
right?
not having too many issues here.
No. So you can download the package right there, but it'll download it successfully, but you'll never be able to install it, is my experience. So
All right.
So you just downloaded the and App Store. Now, if you click it to try to install it, I think you're going to get a package error. Yeah, there's a problem parsing the package. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what's...
Oh, denied.
And I don't know if it's because it's for a different architecture or what. So if
you know, it shouldn't be. I mean, everything is Java under Android.
So I would
or
think
pseudo Java.
So I would think, though, what the best route would be from Android-x86.org to get whichever build already has the App Store client in it.
And then you're good to go.
And then you already have it, and then it's just a matter of loading apps and stuff
Loading
like
apps
that.
you want.
And
honestly, if that's working, I mean, that's just a great way to try it out and actually see if this environment's even going to be one that you want to buy a dedicated device for.
And I've been toying, do I want to have an Android phone? This is a great way for me to play with Android from kind of the guts level.
See if you
of
like
it.
the feel of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're on Twitter, the Android guys are also on Twitter. You can go to twitter.com/liveandroid. I believe that's the dudes. I'm not positive that's the same dude.
It's some dudes, and it has to do with Android. That's for sure.
So I like it a lot. I'm going to keep playing with it for a little bit. I think I'm probably going to end up going with Ubuntu Netbook Remix, but
yeah.
I'm digging it so far. I think I'm actually impressed. The boot speed's pretty good. The overall performance is pretty good. And this is on my AAA PC, which I think...
This is the 700. This is the original AAA PC.
So is that a 900 megahertz Celeron, or is it a 700?
It's a 900 megahertz Celeron processor.
Yeah.
That is by default downclocked to like 600 and something megahertz.
Right.
So basically like a million years old in terms of technology.
Yeah, and I got a gig of memory in there, which they recommend for Android is a gig, but you can run it on 512. I'm running it in VMware right now on 512. And then I put it on a 4 gig card. I just formatted
That seems like it should be fun. It should be plenty. I mean, it's designed to run on a phone with similar storage.
But if you just want to play with it in VirtualBox or VMware, you can download the image and run it in there.
And rock.
Yep. So that's my Android look. Now, before we move on, I wanted to talk really briefly. I've had my hands on the Verizon MiFi for the last couple of weeks.
How's that been going? I've been kind of interested in that myself.
Well, so the MiFi device is essentially it's a portable Wi-Fi router that connects you to the Verizon 3G cellular service.
Right.
And there's also one out for Sprint, and I don't know if it's in the U.S., but I think it is over. I think it's over in the U.K. There's GSM versions, and the GSM versions also have a built-in micro SD card slot. And when you throw a micro SD card slot in there, it acts as a mini file server. So this device is small. It's about the size of maybe a business card and a half in terms of footprint size.
Yep.
So it's a really small device.
So plenty to throw in your bag.
And 4 to 6 hours, if you, like today I was at a spot where I had only 1 bar of reception, so I only got 4 hours. If you have full bars, so it doesn't have to search a lot and really strain to make the connection, you can push 6 hours of constant use on this thing.
That's so cool.
And so you can connect to 5 machines, and just like a router, you can set WPA password. It does NAT behind the device, so all the machines that connect to it get an internal 192 address. They're not exposed directly to the internet. And I literally leave it in my bag, I get to the location, and I open up my machine, and I connect. And what's really unique about it is there's nothing too new with these 3G cards now, but because it uses Wi-Fi to make the connection, you don't have to worry if you're running Linux one day and you're running Windows the next day.
You're good to go.
You don't have to worry about the Verizon software not working on Linux, or Linux not supporting the 3G modem or whatever it is.
That's just way cool.
And
plus, way cool.
And if you get good signal, I've been seeing speeds of up to 1.2 megabits today where I was at. I don't know what the top speed was, but my average transfers are around 36 kilobytes a second.
Well, that's not bad.
Not crazy great, but for internet,
I mean, come on, in a pinch, wherever you're at, and potentially multiple devices, that's pretty slick.
If you're the only downside is you do need to either have a Mac or a Windows box to activate it because it requires the VZ Access Manager software, and I assume the same is true with the Sprint version and the GSM version.
Or a virtual machine, right? I'm sure you could do.
Maybe.
Or do you have to USB?
You do USB it, but
I mean, you can do that pass through with your virtual box or VMware.
Or if you have Windows installer or a Mac somewhere, you can just run it on that. But once it's set up, from then on you just connect to it by Wi-Fi.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I had a Windows mobile phone, and that was one of the coolest things about it.
Was router software.
There's an app, called Windows Mobile Wi-Fi Router that basically lets you take the 3G connection and turn it into a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Right.
The downside was, man, it made that phone hot, and it drained the battery life like nobody's business. I would be lucky if I got maybe 45 minutes of usage out of it before my phone was dead. And then it was my phone that was dead, and it was great in a pinch.
But then you don't have a phone.
But then I don't have a phone.
But
man, it would be great to have a dedicated little device like that.
Well, and what's nice is this unit, with good reception, which for Verizon in Washington State where we're at is a lot of places have really good Verizon reception. 6 hours, and it's just in my laptop bag.
Battery.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and then if it does drain, you can plug it in via USB to any OS.
I mean, this is one of my big things about why I need like a smartphone versus like an internet tablet. Is I need a device that can be connected. So like my Nokia N810 does everything I want a smart device type thing to do, except it doesn't have that built-in 3G thing.
Yeah.
But I prefer it for web browsing over any of the other phones I've had. But if I could have something like this that I could just toggle on,
this
and
is what
boom,
I'm thinking.
I've got a Wi-Fi router in my pocket, boom, instantly I can hop on with my tablet, and then I have complete device agnosticism, basically, for my data.
Yeah.
And that's just awesome.
I'm showing the device on the video version just to kind of give an idea of the size. And the way it works is there is just two different visual cue systems. Boy, the Chrome really makes a big jump there. One is the power light, and the power light will flash different things depending on what's going on, and there's an activity light. And they're able to communicate a wide variety of different things like your reception, if it's connected via Wi-Fi or USB, through these different light systems. And you would think, okay, so if you're trying to, say, communicate 4 different types of things through 2 different lights, that wouldn't really work very well. It actually ends up working pretty well because the lights can vary in color, so when the light's red, I know I don't have a connection, and et cetera, things like that. So it actually works out pretty well. But this has gotten me thinking, all right, so my work pays for this, but I believe it's around $60 a month for Verizon Unlimited.
Oh,
now, Unlimited...
60?
Well, but here's my thing. All right, follow me here. The only problem with Unlimited is I believe Verizon Unlimited means 5 gigabytes a month. That could be a problem.
Okay, yeah, that's not going to go.
But if that 5 gig cap is going to be removed, which you got to figure eventually with devices like this, the whole point, like one of their commercials, they have 5 people carpooling and they're all using this device at once. You're going to go over 5 gigs.
Oh, quickly.
I might have gone over 5 gigs today alone. But that's
pretty impressive at 30-some K a second.
Yeah, for $60 a month, if I had this device always on me, it's so small, like I throw it in my pocket, it's not a big deal. Then I could have something like a Memo tablet, or an Arcos tablet, running Skype, Gizmo.
That little Arcos internet tablet suddenly becomes much more useful if you can always be connected with it.
So then I have a $60. Then I basically have a $60 phone internet device, and if you look at like how many minutes I need for my job, and I have data on my phone plus then this device, if I could eliminate the phone plan and my data plan,
and just go Google Voice or Skype for all your phone.
I am a Google Voice user. I'd save $112 a month on my phone bill, or something like that, $100 a month, and then I'm paying $60 if that 5 gig cap is removed.
Now, have you tried making like a Skype call over this connection, and it worked?
Yeah, Skype video call worked.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I obviously, for the most part, would just do voice, but no.
But still.
Yeah, freaking video worked. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, right? So, I mean, you think about it, in good reception, I'm getting just over a megabit. That's plenty for Skype, so.
Well, I'll be doggone.
Yeah, so I'm starting to toy with the idea of maybe my next phone device. None of these phones that are out right now are really doing it for me. I'm starting to think maybe my next device is going to be more of an appliance device that just uses
and then just ditch having a phone.
Yeah.
But still have something that can call out with Skype. So if you're in a pinch and need to call someone, you just set it up and within 2 minutes you can call.
So it's 6 hours if I have great reception. It's 4 hours with bad reception. But
and you don't leave it on all the time. You just how long does it take? So okay. So
those
if you have it in your pocket,
are constant usage.
So if you have it in your pocket and it's off, you switch down. Is there a little switch to turn on?
Just a little. I don't know if you can see it on the screen here, but there's just a little button.
Okay.
Right here that you just press in on, and it's on or it's off.
And how long does it take before you have data access through that Wi-Fi?
It takes like 2-3 seconds to connect.
Really?
And then
another, and you're pretty much already in.
2 seconds maybe for your device to detect for the Wi-Fi signal.
So pretty much it's almost instantaneous.
Give
just
yourself
to push
5
the
seconds,
button.
I say. 5 to 6
But it's not like a multi-minute boot up process.
No, it's really fast.
So okay, so reach down, click, load up Skype on my little Memo tablet.
Right.
Boom, I'm ready to go.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the thing is the Memo tablet, like the N900 and the N810, has pretty good battery life, right?
Yeah, great
and
battery life.
It has a USB port on it, right?
Yeah, so
in a super pinch, you could plug this device into it and power it because it can pull power off USB.
Oh, that is so gorgeous.
It's a possibility. I'm seriously thinking about it.
Actually, yeah, that becomes a bigger and bigger possibility. I mean, the downside is, of course, it makes it harder for people to call you, which honestly, that doesn't sound like that bad of a downside right now.
And with Google Voice, I can route stuff. So when I'm at home, I can have my phone at home ring. I don't have to have a cell phone ring. Or I can log into Skype on a desktop. So I can always have Google Voice route calls around for me. Or I can have always ring everything. And then if I'm just logged into Skype on a Memo tablet, I'm good to go.
Man,
so
this is that's something seriously to consider.
Like right now,
that's not terrible.
Like right now, if you call my Google Voice number, it rings my house line and my cell phone, and I just pick which one I want to answer.
Right.
If I'm out on the road, my house line's still ringing. So if I use, basically, this would just be another node that Google Voice would call. And because I have this now, I think I'm going to start playing with this just as a rough idea in trial, just to see if it's possible. Keep my phone. But just kind of start playing with this.
Leave your phone off a couple of times and see how it goes.
Yeah.
See how much time you spend just reaching for that phone instinctually.
Well, yeah, that's true. That would be a hard habit to break.
Hard habit to break.
But if you took
that's
something
a really difficult phrase to say. A hard habit to break.
But like you look at like a lot of people have an iPod Touch, right? So the iPod Touch has a Skype client, and you can get a microphone. It's like a part of the headphones or whatever, and you could make calls on an iPod Touch, or you could get that Arcos device, or I mean
that's more what I'm thinking is more of an inner tablet or an Arcos device, or hell even just one of the triple E's or something like that. You just want to flip it open with great battery life, and away you go.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm a little jealous of is the dudes that have the GSM version where they get that little micro SD thing, because I really love the idea of, because you can put they put an artificial limitation of 5 people, probably just because of the bandwidth limits of
but that's no problem.
But I love the idea you can make a little router out of it. Now, one of the things also that surprised me, I didn't expect it in such a compact device, is it is a user serviceable battery, so you can swap the battery out. It comes with a power plug, and it also comes with USB cable. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, this is actually fairly exciting. The only thing that draws me back a little bit is a $60 price point per month.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you did ditch a phone, well, then you're saving money. But if you're not ditching a phone, it seems a little too pricey.
I think it's $60 a month. I don't know for sure because
honestly, if it could come down to like the $40 a month range, I would be like bouncing up and down, crazy happy Willy Wonka man, and I'd be all over it.
But all the 5 gig cap and the cost of data are all problems that I think by time the telcos are going to get forced to lowering their rates.
Yeah.
Because bandwidth's becoming cheaper.
Yeah. Do we have anything like this for the non-Verizon folks?
Yeah, well, there's a Sprint version, and then people outside the U.S., there's a GSM version. I don't know of a GSM version in the U.S. It's a Novatel device.
No AT&T or T-Mobile thing yet.
I don't think so. It's a Novatel device, so you might be able to just buy it and then use it with a GSM SIM card. It has like a little cutout in mine, but it's not fully realize there's a little cutout for like a GSM
Right.
little thing, but it's like filled in.
Interesting.
So it might be one of those things where you could buy like an eBay version and use it. The thing is in the U.S. generally, except for in some markets, Seattle tends to be one of them. AT&T and T-Mobile are generally slower data than Sprint and Verizon.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You're going to want to have good data, and they also generally have better coverage in our area. AT&T says they're working on that, but who knows?
Interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting.
So there you have it. That's my quick review of the MiFi, and then also a look at Android on a netbook.
Okay.
How long are we at?
122.
Damn, we're running. I wanted to do some calls. I think I'm gonna have to do a separate release of those calls because we got to wrap this Bad Mama Jam up so Jeremy can go get his foot cut off. All right.
I just need one of you to carry me to my truck.
Piggyback.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Well, one of you has to carry me and the other has to carry my shuttle.
You bring your shuttle with you?
Yeah, I reloaded it to 32-bit.
Oh, smart.
All right. That's what. Yeah, you should buy some RAM for that thing, man.
Is it 2?
I didn't check.
It's
Probably. I don't. I think remember last time I saw it was 2 gigs.
like 9:30.
So you should probably.
2 gigs.
No.
But you could buy like 2 gig sticks for like $25. All right, I mean really crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy cheap. Because not only is RAM cheap, but RAM for that generation of machines cheap.
Crazy cheap.
So for
We're talking Value Village cheap.
for a fraction of gas you put in that truck, you could have 4 gigs of RAM in that thing, no problem. So all right, I'm ready whenever you is.
Oh yeah.
What about Brian? All right. Then we're going to go.
We're gonna wrap this show up. And I do believe that brings us to the end of this broadcast.
Nice.
I want to thank everyone for swinging by this fancy week.
Yeah, you bet.
It's been a ride. That's
It
all I'm going to
has.
say
It
right
has,
there.
yeah.
It's been a ride. It's been a thing. We've been on it, and we've been
I
riding.
was going to play some listener calls today, but
We kind of ran out of time.
we've been doing that lately.
We've been
So I'm
using
gonna
our
do-
words too much.
I know, too many words. So I'm going to do if I have time throughout the week, maybe I'll do like a side release.
That's not a
So
bad
just
idea.
check
Yeah.
back. Maybe if you're following us on the Facebook page, that's where I'll post an update. Facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting, which is where you want to be anyways to get in the popcorn hour, and then soon the ZI6
That is the
giveaway.
place. That is the place. And of course, you can head over to JupiterColony.com.
Oh, yeah.
There's a forum there. A forum.
Woo!
You can talk in there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can hit us up on Twitter. I don't even know what those links are, but it's at twitter.com, and you'll have a good time. I think there's stuff like that.
You can also friend us on Facebook. I'm facebook.com/ChrisLAS.
And I'm just Brian Lunduke on Facebook.com.
And twitter.com/JBJeremy.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy's behind the board. Big shout out to our board operator here.
Do you have a Facebook page you want to give out? No? No, he doesn't.
Nope,
He doesn't
nope.
do that.
He's a private man.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. Also, if you're curious in any gear that we use to produce these shows, we have a gear store. You can find that over at jupiterbroadcasting.com/store. And we're starting to talk about updating it with some more swag and some book
Oh, yeah.
recommendations. So if you have any
yeah.
suggestions for content that we should put in our store, hit us up on the forum at jupitercolony.com and let us know what you think, because as we kind of redo it, now would be a good time to get your idea in the hat.
Get in there on the ground floor.
All right, Brian. Well, I think that wraps up this episode of the Computer Action
That's
Show.
a really good point, Chris.
I want to say thanks to everybody for listening or watching.
It's
and,
too late. I already did.
And we're back in a fortnight.
Later, everybody.
Time for a script.
I want to do an intro. Let's go. Hi ho.
How you doing, Jeremy?
Ho. Jeremy says, hello. This week on Not the Linux Action Show. I guess it's the not Linux section. We still talk about Linux most of the time. That's not the right song for the moment. Wait, I got a better song. Flash! possible. Flash. I believe he'll save every one of us at that point. And then greatest theme song of all time is all I'm saying. I'm trying to convey that properly here. Jeremy behind the board has never seen the movie Flash before, which I find to be the lamest thing I've ever heard out of a nerd's mouth. So everybody, please tell our good friend Jeremy behind the board to please go watch Flash. It's amazing. A full movie in outer space with a Queen soundtrack. That's amazing. Like, there's nothing that can possibly be wrong or bad about that. That's all I'm saying.
You want to read this, see how it looks?
This week in we go for apples. I would like to go after their surprise.
Surprise? I'll spell check it later.
You want to get rid of that first R? It's not surprise.
Oh, you can manage.
Wait.
Wait, what the hell? Son of a... Brian?
Chris doesn't know how to spell, so you can screw with him. It's fantastic, people.
Or somebody forgot how to spell. I spelled it right. You know what I love about that is I once listened to a Google... You know, like a lot of times I'll go to Google and I'll just type for something to get the spell correction.
Yeah.
And I once listened to an engineer talk about what happens on Google's back end to do the spell correction and how many systems are involved in that and how much data it generates.
Yeah.
And I chuckle a little bit that it takes just this phenomenal computing power to spell check a word for me. All right, so does that
I
look
love
good,
that
or?
a great deal.
Right.
A surprise. We go over Apple's surprise open source announcement.
Applesauce.
You can get rid of that second we. We go over Apple's surprise open source announcement, cover Red Hat's rockstar profits, and we can get rid of that third we too. And
You don't like we this week.
And give you our take on Richard Stallman's latest outburst. Then we get Android running on our yeah, that's true. On our netbooks and tell you all about it. All right.
Let's do this thing. It's getting late for people.
Here we go.
Jeremy, you ready?
Jeremy behind the board. Let me know when we're recording. And Jeremy just flipped me off behind the board. That's fantastic.
Go time.
This week on the Computer Action Show, we go over Apple's surprise announcement of doing this over again. Here we go. Just keep going. All right. This week on the Computer Action Show, we go over Apple's surprise open source announcement, cover Red Hat's rockstar profits, and give you our take on Richard Stallman's latest outburst. Then we get Android running on our netbooks and tell you all about it. Plus so much more. Oh, this week on the Computer Action Show.
Boom!
Kaboom. How was that? Am I clipping?
Cut,
Am I all over the
print,
place? Am I?
send.
Did I just all over and then?
Yeah.
Great,
Yes,
fantastic.
Yes, you did.
Sound is awesome today.
Oh,
All
fantastic.
right, cool. I like to have awesome sound. All right, chat room, you guys. I know for some of you guys out there, it's late.
It's kind of late
so you
right now
guys
for
are
me.
awesome. I know.
I'm tired,
Yeah.
man. It's Thursday night. I worked like 60 hours so far this week. I'm
Yeah.
pooped.
Yeah.
I'm a pooped little donkey.
I was hacking today, so that's a very intense thing because
What the heck are you talking about?
yeah, I was doing a security audit. What, Jeremy?
I'm gonna stop the local.
Stop the Ustream first.
Yeah, stop the
And then
Ustream first.
Save it, so it's not the broadcast, but stop the recording.